had the questions set up that I wanted to ask, things that I wanted them to discuss and things I wanted to get out of them. And going into that with those pre-planned questions, going into that with norms already established for them was something I thought would help them be successful in the discussion itself. As far as things that I learned throughout this process, specific areas of their answers that need strengthening, so specific things that I could do to maybe better support them to deepen their thinking on certain questions and really get them to pull from the text more and make connections between the text and themselves, and then between the text and other texts that we've read. So I think moving forward, seeing ways that I can support in that specific direction has given me a clear focus for the next few weeks. I decided to use Socratic seminars because we've been working all year with reading and writing, and with this particular novel we've been working on making real world connections and connecting to those life lessons and themes. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to really hear from the students and for them to hear from each other and really discuss real world situations that appear in the novel and can connect to their lives or to the lives of those that they know. And the Socratic seminar was a perfect way for them to learn from each other. They're really good at, once the norms have been established and once they know the expectations, they're really good about catching themselves. I think they still need direction as far as where to take their answers. Instead of just thinking, okay, well, I've been successful because I've followed the norms or I spoke clearly, and really helping them understand that is a component in our discussion, but we're really trying to deepen our thinking and connect to the themes that are evident in this novel, and so really helping them make those connections. One of the biggest challenges was getting them just to follow the protocol and break this culture that's been established with them of raising a hand or talking over one another. So to really discipline ourselves, to stick to those set protocol, to stick to the sentence starters that I had for them was a challenge. And I think from that they've done really well with that, and I think giving them the control was also hard for me as a teacher, but that's been really good to help them make the discoveries of their learning and not have me necessarily explicitly point out those to them. So I think it takes discipline from the student and from the teacher to really make this student dialogue be effective, but I think when the students buy in and they follow the norms and the protocol and respect one another, and when the teacher is willing to give up control, the student dialogue can be very powerful. One of the first things that I did in order to kind of set up this structure and help kind of scaffold them into this discussion-like setting was to provide graphic organizers in the classroom. So really those anchor charts we could refer back to. Okay, these are what we've decided that we're going to follow for our discussion. And then also just allowing them to be able to practice that not in the Socratic seminar setting. So, for example, at the beginning of the year, I would just ask a question in class at a certain time. We would use the think times and still use the norms, but they weren't necessarily interacting with one another on a discussion-like basis. So we moved from that into a little bit more discussion. And one of the things I tried to do for them was to model being a participant in the discussion. So I would model things by saying, I agree with so-and-so because, or if I had a question myself, I would say, I have a question about whatever. So giving them that model and me being a participant first before giving over complete control was really helpful for them to see how an active participant would behave in the discussion. It's awesome for students to have accountability when doing this discussion, that someone is watching them and that they are responsible for watching someone else. And so when they're able to talk with one another, I think it helps them because they really do value the opinions of others, especially at middle school. They care about how they interact with other people, and so I think they take it seriously when someone says, hey, you did a good job with this, or maybe you could work on this. And then in turn, them being able to give feedback helps them get it from a different perspective, and I've seen a really positive outcome with that because they've been able to talk with one another and really kind of collaborate together on ways to make the discussion better or to make each other better.